something about he was this chaos theorist, and it was it was a completely interesting way of thinking. You know that pose he makes with the glass of water.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You
When he
remember?
puts it on her hand, yeah.
Yeah, the chaos theory, and it was really an interesting relationship to do. With the man messing with nature by bringing back such a menace to the human world.
Oh yeah, we as Sam Neill's character, as Alan Grant says in the film, humans and dinosaurs are separated by millions of years, and they were never meant to, commingle. Because quite frankly, if they had been around, we wouldn't be. To put it bluntly, because we wouldn't have survived with them around. That's just the way the world works. And these guys have basically cheated God, is what they say, by doing this. So this wasn't originally a film. It isn't, it wasn't wrote for film. There was a book by Michael Crichton, which I have just recently listened to the audio version of. Now it's abridged, so I know the story, but I don't know exact details of dialogue because the audio version is kind of a shortened version of it. But the book is very, very different from the film. You'll be surprised how different it is from the film. Have you actually ever read the book or heard anything about the book?
I knew it was based in a book, actually from Michael Crichton. The only thing I've ever read was the book for the second part of Jurassic Park, not the first one.
Oh, the Lost World. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it was quite different, as you see. Not exactly the plot, but there were a lot of characters that were pretty important in the drama, and the movie they just were extras. So I assume that did the
Mm.
same thing happen with
Well,
first
the
one?
thing, right, there's a hell of a lot of changes. First of all, there's a lot more scenes, obviously, because it's a book, and things happen a little differently. Of course, you get in more detail. In the book, there is no thing of people, leaving the island. They don't go anywhere. I don't know why they left. I think it was to do with the storm in the film or something. Um, but they used to explain that one of why all the staff left um, on the boat, which I will get to in a bit on why Dennis Nedry, why the hell didn't he go where everybody else went instead of shutting down the park gates? But at any rate, basically in the book, all the staff stay and they all get killed. Basically, a lot more. I think it's a lot more graphic in the book, and I think the reason that most of the staff were got rid of was to make it so it could be a PG. Dumb down how many killings is going to actually happen. I think it came to about 3 or 4 in the film. But the Chinese doctor called Mr. Wu, Dr. Wu, he stays on the island and he gets killed by a raptor. Gennaro, who is the lawyer, is actually more involved in the plot. He is a much more bigger character. He's actually, known Jurassic Park, and he's the lawyer of Jurassic Park, not the investors. And he survives, which I found extremely surprising. He was a young, muscular bloke in the book that survives, and he's a heroic, sort of likable character. And then in the film, he becomes this slimy lawyer guy who's the first guy to die, which is interesting. And also Ian Malcolm and John Hammond die in the book. They both die at the end of the book. Also, the raptor guy, the sort of scouty jungle guy whose name escapes me, who's like, they remember and all that. He survives, and he's the one that dies in the book. Dennis Nedry obviously still gets killed by the one that poisons him, but shoot, that's the same sort of death, although it's a bit more graphic in the book. He gets his intestines ripped out and stuff in the book.
Well, I think that the reason for that is being wow, a dinosaur. So it was just more directed, at least watchable for
Children.
younger audience.
Yes,
So
certainly. And I think that's why a lot of the secondary characters taken out. There was also the person that really was in the place of Gennaro in the film was Ed Regis. Ed Regis was like a guy who works at the park, and he ends up getting eaten by a junior T-Rex, because in the book there's two T-Rexes, and the big T-Rex doesn't get to eat anybody. Only the little, sort of teenager one that gets to eat Ed Regis, which is and certainly Ed Regis was combined with Gennaro to make one character for the film. But certainly there was a lot of changes, and in the book, John Hammond is a much different character. He's portrayed as much more of a fanatic and an egotist and a rude guy, whereas in the film he's kind of this lovable grandpa, sympathetic character, which is probably why he was chosen to survive. I mean, you know, it wouldn't have been right to kill that character off in the film version. And also Alan Grant was much different. He didn't hate kids. None of that stuff existed in the book. That was all for the film. In fact, he actually loved kids in the book, and actually, was hanging around with the kids all the time. He also had a beard, and he was sort of a fatherly figure, and saves the kid quite a number of occasions. In the book, Lex is the younger sister of Tim. Tim is the computer hacker, as well as being the dinosaur geek. Lex is just the little girl along for the ride. She doesn't really do as much as she does in the film. So there's parts of the
it's
book.
quite interesting to know. You remember in the movie, the little one was always hanging around the Alan Grant and making questions all the time.
Yeah, it was, I honestly do believe the whole theory that they brought up in that film, but the whole turn into birds thing, I think that's quite credible. About dinosaurs turning into birds. You know what I'm on about?
The dinosaur what?
There is a theory that's brought up in this film by Alan Grant that dinosaurs didn't die out; they just evolved into birds.
Oh yeah, well that's the theory, you know.
Yeah, I kind of believe that one. That one is right up there with the meteorite one for me. As you know, because just the way the chickens walk seem very T-Rex-like to me. When you look at a bird, it looks very sort of the way a dinosaur would.
Well, the legs completely longer than their arms, so.
Oh
you
yeah,
have one,
I don't understand. I mean, flight's a good benefit, but why would they evolve from being this huge, gigantic predatory lizard to being a little tiny bird? Is beyond me, but I'm sure there is a reason for that. If that,
Well, that has to do on the way you take evolution, you know, the way a particular person sees it.
I think
look-
some people see it as every time evolution happens, it's basically version 1, version 2, version 3, as if it was coming out like a computer every year. Like every model's an improved version of the last. Do you know what I mean? I think some people see it like that. So it's kind of like, well, why would you go from being a dinosaur to being a bird? It's a step back, but it isn't a step back really. It's just not a step forward. It's not like every model of evolution that comes out is an advancement on the last. It's not a man-made thing.
Well, I think it fits better, you know. What will a crocodile or elephant do to a T-Rex?
Yeah, I know what you mean. I think there's a lot of... We won't go into a philosophical debate here, but there's a lot of things in this world that has questions that we basically will never be able to answer. We do our best, but I don't think we ever will, to be honest. But at any rate, Jurassic Park. So, they go to the park, and they go in these jeeps, and they take a tour of the park, and the guy shuts down the fences, and as they're heading back, Ellie Sadler's already gone back because she wanted to check out the sick Triceratops. She goes back to the visitor centre with some other bloke who doesn't show up later on. I think he goes on the boat or something. But Alan Grant, Ian Malcolm, the kids, and Gennaro are stuck. Luck would have it, they stop right outside the T-Rex paddock. Of all the places to